Welcome to another interview in celebration of 10 years of my business heart content. I'm very excited to be having a chat today with my dear friend and colleague and client, Joanna Neale. Jo is an incredible entrepreneur who has so much business experience, and I've had the pleasure of working on several of Jo's businesses with her and developing those. And I'm very excited that she's agreed to have a chat in celebration of 10 years of my business. So we can get to know a bit more about hers too. So welcome, Jo.
Thank you, Amy, and congratulations on your 10 years. It's obviously gone very quickly because I know we've worked with you for most of those 10 years and it seems to have flown past. So, congratulations.
Thank you. It has gone very quickly. The days are long, but the years are short sometimes in business, aren't they? Much akin to having kids, I think. Yeah. So tell us just a little bit about yourself for the audience and the types of businesses that you have been involved in. Because when I talk to people about you, I describe you as an entrepreneur. That's how I see you. You have always have more than one thing going on. So tell us a little bit about your business history and how you got to where you are today.
Sure. So, I started actually in corporate, and that was just something I fell into. It's something my family were always in. And it was always just as much as I've always had ideas and I've always wanted to be in business, I was kind of noted it as the dreamer. Oh, Joe, she's dreaming up something else again. So it was always in my mind that I'd be in business, but in actual fact, the family path was to go into corporate. So my husband, who has a trade business and who was a sole trader at the time, we'd had our fourth child, and he said to me, "What are you thinking about after we have the baby?" And I sort of said, "Look, I'd love to be able to help you grow." And so that's how it all started. So we went very quickly from being a sole trader through to employing 20 people within 6 months. And what we actually found was we had grown the business too quickly. So we then had to dismantle it and actually slow it down. And one of the main reasons that happened was because we had no messaging. We literally advertised on Google, we cast our net out as wide as possible, and it was an absolute disaster. We had people, tire kickers coming in, we had people from all industries coming in, and literally we were up, till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning quoting with very little result. So when the opportunity came to work with you, Amy, and when I'd heard what you do with Brand Story and how that would benefit us to becoming a little bit more niche and a little bit more deliberate about, that's when you came into our world. So beyond that, I've also done a couple of other projects. So a lot in the skincare line. So we developed some LED masks, which of course you helped us with that Brand Story and with, the visual branding.
Yes.
My daughter's got a personal care brand as well that she's about to launch, which you've had a lot of involvement with as well. And of course, there was the IT project as well. So we've worked with you with multiple capacities, multiple industries, and you help my ideas come to life.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. And it is one of my favorite things to work with you because I think you've just, yeah, the ideas that you have and helping them come to life has been just so much fun for me. It's a zone of genius. And I love spending time hashing out things with you and coming up with a strategy to bring it into fruition. And I think what's been nice as well is that you and I have worked in a couple of different capacities. So we've done a lot of work one on one, but also recently you brought one of your newer brands through the Brand Story strategy workshop. So I'd love to hear about how you found that experience and what the outcome of going through the workshop with that new brand was for you.
So yeah, that's correct. So we, as you know, we worked with each other for probably around 5 years one on one. And I felt incredibly grateful that I could have that journey with you because working with you one on one was absolutely incredible. It was not only the output, but also the incredible learning that I got working with you. So when it came time to work in a group setting, I must admit I was unsure initially because I'm a bit
Mm.
selfish. I want you all to myself. But coming into that group environment, I was so pleasantly surprised. And in fact, Amy, that's probably how I would work with you in the future now, because in that group setting, not only did we get your wealth of knowledge and the system that you put in place to really have a beautiful sort of progression with how that brand story developed, but we also had this incredible group of intelligent people and business owners and entrepreneurs that we could bounce off. And the ideas and the dialogue and the way that process opened up and progressed couldn't have actually happened in a one-on-one setting because there was just the two of us, and it just opened up so much more. And then, of course, we then were able to take that information and take that creativity and take all that goodness that we got from that group setting. And we had you there with your expertise and the way you provide this simplicity. And you make brand story seem so easy, and it's not. That's a skill in itself.
That's amazing. So I had a lot of fun doing the workshop with you. I really enjoy doing the workshops mainly because of the group environment. And you're right, people, you get to leverage off each other. And funnily enough, I think the more different the businesses are that are in a group together going through the workshop, the more interesting it is for everybody because people can see things through a different lens, perhaps give a different perspective. And that's what I'm always looking at when I'm working with people on brand story strategy is I encourage them to look at industries that are not their own. You know, what's a brand that you think is doing a really good job of story? What is a brand that you feel really connected with? Why do you feel really connected with that brand? And it doesn't have to be from your industry. We can look at lots of different brands and learn things that we can apply to our own brand story, even if, you know, one is a service business and one is a product business, even. So it is a lot of fun in the group. And I think too that it helps you to build the skill to then be able to go and more successfully implement your brand story strategy into your business independently and not needing to rely so much on someone like me to help you to do that because I give you the skills to do that in the workshop so that when you leave, you've been, you know, given the training, given the skills, shown how to apply your brand story strategy to practical scenarios in your business so that you can continue to build it. And that's my goal always is to leave people with something that they can implement every day, that they don't always have to rely on somebody to translate their strategy for them,
Yeah.
that they
And
actually
we
know what it
certainly have.
means.
And
Yeah,
we
when they get
really
it at their
have.
end.
That brand story strategy workshop, what that gave me, it gave me a template to give to the graphic artist, to give to our supplier, to give to our formulators. And it is a document we will use over and over again. But it's not only informed the story, but it also informs the visuals. As I said, we gave that to our graphic artist. That brand story strategy informed the graphic artist of the colors to use, of the
Yeah.
type of logo to develop. Even the packaging is going to be informed from that workshop.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, you know, you are using your strategy exactly how it should be used. It's not something that should go in the top drawer and be left there when you finished it. It should show up day to day all the time in your business. And, you know, obviously when you do that, as you well know, it gives your brand momentum. So it makes it easier to decide what color palettes should be. It makes it easier to decide what the packaging should look like because it's all in alignment with a strategy instead of just, you know, eyeballing it and hoping for the best, which I think is great. It brings clarity, doesn't it?
It brings a complete clarity. And again, having that added independence, working with you was absolutely incredible. But then doing it yourself, it actually even adds an element of knowing and knowledge and momentum to that because you're taking what you've created and it really does give you momentum. I think for the first time I had more confidence in what I was talking about because I wasn't, it was just, it came from me very much. And you were amazing at facilitating that.
Yes. And that's where the magic happens, I suppose, for me, is in giving you the skills to be able to navigate the implementation piece yourself and having the confidence to do that, having confidence in what you're saying and what you're communicating and, how your brand is showing up in the world and building story. So I've loved working with you on all of the brand story strategies that we've built together. So, 10 years is a long time, as we were saying earlier, but it also goes very quickly. How have your businesses changed in the last 10 years? What have you seen, if you think back to 10 years ago, what have you seen shift? So, COVID was a massive, massive impact on lots of businesses. I think, for me, I think it's opened the world up for small service-based businesses in a way because people got more comfortable with Zoom, for example. Like everybody got very excited about using Zoom during COVID. And I was like, oh, I've been using Zoom for a while now to run my business. And so that's something for me that definitely stands out is that the small business environment, despite the fact that it's getting harder and harder all the time, we've also been opened up much more globally than we ever have before. What do you feel has changed in your businesses across the last 10 years?
So much. Business has changed so profoundly in the last 10 years. When I started off in my husband's business, which is in construction, I'd come from a corporate environment where I had everything at my fingertips. Firstly, I had, I had departments and legal departments and, I had a sales team. I had all these tools to be successful. And I came into that business and he was still quoting on paper plans. And I had a whiteboard behind me with the scheduling because we had big clients straight off the bat because my background is sales. So it was just go straight for the big clients. And, we had this huge team that was growing as well. So it was a much more manual process. So that was, I think, one of the biggest things is that now it's the norm to have a CRM. It's the norm to have operational software and it's a norm to have accounting software and to have all of those
Yes.
integrated. So that's the first thing. The second thing, particularly in construction, is that women weren't really accepted in construction. I'd make phone calls to clients or clients would call in and they'd ask to speak to my husband, which was a very interesting and humbling experience. So now women, leading or being a general manager of or a CEO of a business, a small business or a family run business is much more the norm. Then, then we went through COVID where thank goodness we were emergency services and we were able to continue employing people and continuing within our industry. And that was almost like the perfect environment. Anyone who was working was so grateful to be able to go out and work that they were working with this 100% open heart. And it was probably one of the nicest times we ever had in business because everybody was working from this heart-led intention. Coming out of COVID, however, I think people started to reflect and say, well, hey, you know what? I don't think I want to work for someone anymore. I don't think I want to be employed anymore. I think I want to be the person that's leading this. And so what we found was more and more of our employees were coming to us and saying, hey, listen, I think I'm going to start my own business. And so we went from, an employee model to sort of saying to almost like it almost became a network where, they would go into their own businesses and inquiries would come in from us and we'd be helping them out with the size of business they were. And there was some mentoring going place and they might find a client that was too large for them. So there was this real collaboration. There was this real give and take. And it was much more an environment where, you were working with teams of small businesses rather than employees. And I think what I've seen is that has probably been, I thought I'd give you the history, but that's probably been the biggest change that we've seen in construction is that people don't want to be employees anymore. They want to be in their own business. They want to have their own clients. They want to be in charge of their life and their destiny.
Yes.
And so that there's a lot more people out there competing. And with that, I think there's been a lot more people, I guess, consultants cashing in on that and saying, well, I can help you with your communication. I can help you with your marketing. I can help you with this and I can help you with that. And so there's a lot of fluff and there's a lot of noise. And I suppose I'm finishing that on a little bit of a negative, but there is a lot of fluff and there is a lot of noise and everyone's the expert,
Yes.
one knows how to get you from 0 to 7 figures in 30 days. But it's actually more important than ever to know who you're working with. And almost having said that the employee model is changing, it's almost as important then to treat your consultants and the way you bring them on board and the way you research workshops and courses
Yes.
similar to the one you've done as though you are looking at someone's CV to see if they fit within your business. So I think it's more important than ever to know who you're working with, know what their background is, what their skills are, what they will actually bring to your business as far as consultants, but with employees, having that flexibility to say, okay, well, you don't want to be an employee, but I'm happy to have you in as a subcontractor, or I'm happy to have your business work with my business. And, just be a little bit more flexible with who you're working with and who's helping you with your productivity.
Yeah, absolutely. It has shifted a lot, hasn't it? The employee contractor model. And I think that it's made challenging by some of the red tape that happens in small business, as we all
Yeah.
know, trying to line all the ducks up in a row and make sure that everybody's doing the right thing. But yeah, vetting people, it's
Because
just as important.
mentors have become part of the team. I suppose that's what I relate
Yes.
really well. So where a team, was your employees, a mentor now or a consultant or an expert in the field that you want has now become part of
Yes.
the team of people that you traditionally called employees.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest thing is that, you're not necessarily having to employ in the way that you used to. And
Yes.
so now you are bringing in third parties that are independent and they are forming part of your team. So it's no longer, oh, I've got this person that's coming in for 3 months and they might be helping me with a certain part of my business. They are actually part of your team and you need to actually bring them in with the same care and the same way that you would interview employees for a long-term position.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with that because it's about bringing in the right help for the right thing to achieve the right goal, because otherwise you can invest a heap of time and energy into working with the wrong person and not achieving what it is you're trying to achieve in your business.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with that. I think it's incredibly important, especially as you say, there's so many more people out there these days, which is, technology has made that possible. Being able to work from anywhere has made that possible. But we do need to do our research, do our due diligence.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the moment, I know you are working with your daughter to launch a new product. What is your current brand or marketing challenge around that?
Well, we're definitely decided to go into the most saturated space on the globe, which is personal care slash skincare. And I think the biggest challenge for us was making sure that we understood, because we were in such a saturated space, that we needed to have a niche and we needed to communicate to that niche in a very focused way.
Yeah.
There would have to be absolutely no doubt at all that the product is we're looking at the teen market, that the product is for the teen market and talking to those teens directly, because, anything but laser focused communication and a laser focused understanding of our market, it would get lost in a sea of a lot of noise.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that understanding your customer and who they are, and one of the mistakes I see businesses make a lot is making the assumption that they're their customer And I know that's not a mistake that you would make, but just what you've said highlights to me that challenge that we face around understanding who exactly our target market is so that we can tailor our messaging to them, so we can be talking to that, that group instead of just talking to ourselves.
And what you've actually really taught me the most over the years, Amy, is to listen to the customer because, when you're coming up with an idea that you're passionate about, you've got an idea in your mind of what that looks like. And I mean, in our case, I've got 4 kids. So I've got four, they
Yes.
range between 12 and 27. So I've seen this target market develop. I've seen them and their friends. So I feel like I know them well. But what you've taught me is that, you know what, you've actually got to listen to that target market. You've got to ask them the right questions and then you've got to talk to them. And you can't get, you can't get, I think you can't be too sure you know something.
Yes.
So, and I think that's been one of the most valuable things about, because in the past, you've always facilitated that client journey and that sort of thing, but sort of going through the course and doing those client interviews and getting that feedback and having to actually sit back and listen and say, well, hang on, I don't think I knew my target market as well as I thought I did. And having that ability to actually be flexible with what you learn rather than saying, oh no, but what about this and what about that? Because at the end of the day, if you've got a brand that's in a saturated market and that person's on your e-commerce side and they're saying, well, actually, no, that doesn't really resonate with me. You're not there in their ear saying, oh no, but if you just thought about it this way. So everything has to be laser focused, laser sharp and really clear communication.
Yeah. And do you think that's your prediction for the future of business? What do you think is in the future for small and medium sized businesses? What do you think it can be positive or challenges? Like things that will be good, things that will be
Yeah.
challenging. What are you predicting
I
for,
think
the next 10 years?
definitely clear, authentic, articulate communication will be the number one thing that differentiates a business that gets lost in the noise or a business that becomes iconic. Because there's just so much noise out there.
Yes.
A lot of people are competing in the same spaces. And the one thing that's going to get, and with AI, everyone has access to be an amazing copywriter. I'm saying that with tongue in cheek. So people who know their audience, speak to their audience, listen to their audience, and then write copy and communication and brand strategy based on their audience, right, will be the ones that will come out with the most authentic and the clearest voice.
Yeah,
Everything else will be
absolutely.
just a rehash of what ChatGPT spits out. Remembering that ChatGPT is being trained by opinions, not by facts.
Yes.
And so it's
Yes.
just going to be a rehash of the same thing. People are going to sound like robots. And then the people who are following instructions like yours will actually be sounding like authentic people.
Yeah. And I agree. I think it's going to be so important going forward. And I think brand, it was, one of my predictions at the end of last year when I was doing these are my, marketing and brand predictions for 2024 was that, brand is going to be one of the most important assets you have for building trust moving forward in business when everybody's using ChatGPT and everybody's regurgitating the same information, being authentic, staying true to voice, having a strong opinion, a strong, foundation based in fact, based in understanding your customer, based in authenticity and creating connection. So creating connection is going to be more important than ever. And obviously my belief is that a good brand story strategy can help you to do that. So
Absolutely.
thank you, Jo. This has been a wonderful conversation. My conversations with you are always wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you for speaking to me. Thank you for having me. And thanks for the last 10 years. You've been pivotal in our success and I will always be grateful for that.
Oh, thank you so much. And I will always be grateful to have had the opportunity to work with you. So thank you to you.
No worries at all. Thanks, Amy.
Amazing. Thank you, Jo.